is the midday news. First, the top stories. Controversy trails Ogun State's primary school free feeding program. Buhari extends vacation in London with no specific date for returning to Abuja. Governor Fayose says God told him he will become Nigeria's elected president. PFN cautions religious and political leaders against inciting utterances. In foreign, Trump continues criticism of judge who blocked his travel ban. Army worm invade Africa's farmland, destroying the maize crops. Good afternoon, I am Chienye. Will bringing you the details of the news shortly. Controversy has trailed the Buhari school free feeding program in Ogun State over the unit cost of the meal per pupil paid to vendors supplying the food to schools. The presidency, which is implementing the scheme under its social investment program, claims to have paid 17 naira per meal into the bank accounts of each of the food vendors. But some of the food vendors who spoke with Rock City FM claimed that only 15 naira per meal was remitted to their bank accounts. Some of the food vendors say it will be hard for them to sustain the supply of the meal to pupils at the rate of 15 naira per meal due to the rising increase in the prices of food items. The program coordinator in the state, Mrs. Tinuola Shukweju, confirmed that each of the meal was to be provided for at 17 naira by the food vendors. Shukweju, who is the state governor's special advisor on agriculture, however, says that Ogun State government only directs food vendors to make food for primary 1 to 3 pupils at the rate of 17 naira per plate. She explains that the money was paid directly by the presidency into the bank accounts of the food vendors. Shokweju lists the involvement of the state government in the program to include the selection, screening, and training of the food vendors. In addition, she says the state government provided soft loans for procurement of cooking materials by the food vendors, which are yet to be deducted from the money given to them by the presidency. 1,381 out of 1,587 food vendors recruited for the supply of the meal are participating in the first phase of the homegrown feeding program. Out of 1,554 primary schools in the state, only 874 are participating in the first phase of the program. Former military President General Ibrahim Babangida has returned to Nigeria after a 7-week medical vacation in Switzerland. Babangida, who arrived at the Mina International Airport in the Niger State capital on Saturday evening, went for the medical treatment since last December 18. Addressing newsmen on arrival at the airport, Babangida expressed gratitude for the goodwill messages and prayers while abroad. Babangida, who says that the current socio-economic situation in the country is happening all over the world, asked Nigerians to remain united and work collectively towards the progress of Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari, who is expected to resume duty today after a 10-day annual vacation in London, has extended the vacation indefinitely. Buhari has notified the Senate President and the Speaker House of Representatives about the extension of the 10-day vacation, but did not state when he'll return to the country. The presidential spokesman, Femi Adesina, in a statement on Sunday night, explains that Buhari extends the vacation to complete and receive the results of several medical tests recommended by his doctors. Buhari, according to him, expressed gratitude to Nigerians for their concern, prayers, and kind wishes. The president departed Abuja for London on January 19 this year after notifying the National Assembly that he will be back in the UK for 10 days for his annual vacation, during which he will undergo a routine medical checkup. Days after, the social media announced he had died in a London hospital, which was swiftly dismissed by the presidency. Governor Ayodele Fayose of Ekiti State says he will one day become Nigeria's elected president. The governor, who made the declaration while hosting a group of journalists to a dinner in Ado-Ekiti, says he received the revelation from God. Fayose says the issue should not be a subject of debate because he is just awaiting the manifestation of God's promise that he will one day rule Nigeria as an elected president. The governor, who told his guests he does not know when and how it will manifest, recalls how he received the same prophecies that he will rule Ekiti State again when he was in the political wilderness after his impeachment as a governor. According to Fayose, he is in the good books of most Nigerians who are ready to make God's plan for him come to pass at the appropriate time. National President of Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, PFN, Reverend Felix Omobode, has cautioned religious and other national leaders to check utterances capable of instigating crisis. True political, traditional, and religious leaders, according to him, are those who promote peace and not those who are not sensitive to issues that could tear Nigeria apart. Omobude, in a statement issued by his media aide, Ralph Ohiria, expressed concern over the attitude of some eminent Nigerians, including top religious leaders, on the national issues, which poses threat to the national unity and cohesion. The PFN president also asked government at all levels to uphold the principles of accountability and put in place measures to protect lives and property. Gunmen have shot a police corporal in Okitipupa in Ondo State. The policeman, identified as Michael Olujimi, was shot by gunmen early on Sunday. Witnesses say the policeman injured in the attack was found in a pool of blood, battling for his life. He was then rushed to a hospital for treatment. Witnesses added that the policeman left home early on Sunday to resume duty, but the gunmen opened fire on him and escaped. You are still listening to the Midday News from Rock City 101.9 FM. Up next, we bring you foreign, business, and sports news. Please do stay with us. In foreign, US President Donald Trump has attacked the judge who blocked his travel ban, saying Americans should blame the courts if something happens. Mr. Trump also said he had instructed border officials to check people entering America very carefully. The Federal Appeals Court on Saturday rejected Trump administration's request to reinstate the ban. The ban affecting the people from seven mainly Muslim countries was blocked by Seattle's federal judge on Friday. In its appeal, the Justice Department said Judge Roberts had overreached by second-guessing the president on a national security matter. It also argued that only the president could decide who can enter or stay in the U.S. The two states challenging the restriction, Washington and Minnesota, argued that the ban was unconstitutional and denied people with valid entry documents the right to travel without due process. French far-right leader Marine Le Pen has launched her presidential election manifesto with a twin attack on globalization and radical Islam. The candidate of the National Front, FN, told supporters in the eastern city of Lyon and globalization was slowly choking communities to death. Her party is promising to offer France a referendum on EU membership if a renegotiation of term fails. France goes to the polls on 23rd April in one of the most open races in decades. The FN is styling itself as the original anti-establishment party, with its leader hoping to cash in on the time for change flame generated by Donald Trump's election and the Brexit votes in Britain. Arguing that the FN was the party of the French people, Ms. Le Pen said she wanted a free, independent, and democratic country. Next is the business news. Scientists are calling for urgent action to halt the spread of a pest that is destroying maize crops and spreading rapidly across Africa. The fall armyworm poses a major threat to food security and agricultural trade, once the Center for Agriculture and Biosciences International, CABI, the Food and Agriculture Organization, plans emergency meeting in Harare between 14 and 16 February to decide emergency responses to the armyworm threat. The armyworm, so called because it eats its way through most of the vegetation in its way as it marches through crops, is native to North and South America, but was identified for the first time in Africa last year. Mr. Jane Crozier of Kabi said the Army Worm's presence had now been confirmed in West Africa and was thought to be present in the south and east of the continent, many parts of which rely on maize for their staple diet. Zambia has used army planes to spray affected areas with pesticides. Finally, in the midday news is the sports news. MFM Football Club of Lagos, having Akure, registered the shock result of the week by beating home team Sunshine Stars 1-0. Stephen Ode scored his fifth goal of the season to down Sunshine Stars inside the Akure Township Stadium. Elsewhere, Shooting Stars ended Rivers United's seven-game unbeaten run with a 2-1 defeat, with goals from Sunday Falaye and Jide Aquino. In Nnewi, FC Ifeanyoba defeated defending champions Enugu Rangers by 1-0, with Prince Agri getting the winner from the penalty spot in the 75th minute. Substitute Adamu Mohammed scored late at the Sani Abacha Stadium to give Canopilas a 1-0 victory over hard-fighting ABS of Ilori, while Musa Newman sent Aqua United fans into celebration with an 83rd minute goal that gave the Uyo team a 1-0 defeat of Remo Stars. Lobby Stars beat the struggling Wiki Tourists 2-0 in Makodi, with Kingsley Eduo and Solomon Pambe getting the goals, but Niger Tornadoes were not that lucky, as they had to come from a goal down to hold Katsina United to a 1-1 draw at the Confluence Stadium in Lokoja. That was the midday news, and just before we go, the major stories once again. Controversy trailed Ogun State's primary school free feeding program. Buhari extended vacation in London with no specific date for returning to Abuja. Governor Fayose said God told him he will become Nigeria's elected president. PFN cautioned religious and political leaders against inciting utterances. While on the foreign scene, we reported that Trump continued criticism of judge who blocked his travel ban. And finally, the army worm that invaded Africa's farmland, destroying maize crops. For more stories and to listen to us live, please log on to our website www.voxcityfmradio.com/live. Thank you very much for listening. I am Chienye. Good afternoon and do have a great day ahead.